second hit. I don't remember, but I love the crew over there. And they had asked me about, what the transition was like. And I'm telling you, like, I wouldn't have done anything different. Even this, because you learn from everything. I wouldn't change a thing. I promise you. No regrets, because you learn from every single mistake. But it was a mistake. I shouldn't have answered honestly. I missed home. And I was talking about being in this apartment away from Paula. It was, it wasn't like a cave, but it was a pretty small apartment. And at night we would talk for hours on the phone, but it was hard. So you'd stare at the wall sometimes. I miss my daughter, my wife, the dog, but I should have answered that. I don't regret it because I learned a lot from it. I love the intensity of the job. I wouldn't have changed anything about it. But sometimes, the taxpayers, I'm not going to want to be crude about it, but they don't care. Like, do the job. And fair enough. And that was it. That was the last time I ever mentioned that, because just get the freaking job done. You know what I'm saying? Like, shut your pie hole and do the job. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not above criticism myself, but I promise I wouldn't have changed it because I learned a lot from that. People don't want to hear about it. Jim, it's like they're paying you to get a job done. But I was just asked the question and I thought, be candid about it. But, I'm not going to do it. One more day, and then I want to get to, because I know you guys are, interested in Epstein as well too, which was a big thing. I see a lot of it. Obviously, there's people in the chat who were concerned about it. So I'll get to that, and then I'm going to get to President Trump as well. But I want to cover this. This was one story that I'll remember. I think I discussed this on Haley's show a little bit, but this is what I'm talking about by the intensity I'm really going to miss. I was sleeping in my apartment one night, and you have a security detail in the FBI at the deputy level, and Cash has one too. So I can't hear very well from this earpiece you can probably see in my ear. And I've had one in the Secret Service for 12 years too, so I don't really have great hearing. If I'm not listening to you in public, I'm not ignoring you. I probably just don't hear you. Paula has the same problem. So we're always like, what? We are like, what? What'd you say? So I'm sleeping on my one good ear, so I don't hear anything. And I hear this pound. I would pound on the table, but I don't want to break my hand. Pounding at my door. Folks, I swear to you, I don't been on the job. I don't know what it was, like a month or so. I think I'm getting kidnapped. I'm like, here it is. ISIS is here for old Dan Bongino. And the first thing I'm thinking, this is how crazy it is. I'm like, how'd they get up the elevator? Because you needed a pass. So they're pounding on the door. So I look out the peephole thing, and I see it's my security detail. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's up? They'd never woken me up. I'm like sitting there in like some like sweatpants or something. I don't even know I had a shirt on. Probably not an image you all need in your head, but I was like, what's up? I'm all groggy, sand in my eyes. And it was a really tragic story. Those two Israeli diplomats were shot, so I had to go to the crime scene. I think it was Judge Janine's first day, and I met Pam there. I think Cash was overseas for that one, so that was just. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you don't have time to be tired. There's no tired. So I went to the Washington field office, and you just got to get it done. No excuses. Just get to work. And that was kind of a welcome to the late night hours. And then we, of course, had Minnesota. We had school shootings in Minnesota, the politicians who were shot in Minnesota. We had Coeur d'Alene, Palm Springs, the list with Detroit. The list went on and on and on. I just saw some New York Times article about how Detroit, we were concerned about what to get out of. Yeah, of course. We want to tell the public what's going on. Like, I can't believe that was a surprise. So I know a lot of you are concerned also about Epstein. Let me just say in advance, guys, as I said when I opened up the show,
here we go.
Leadership involves frequently being misunderstood and having to make decisions that's going to piss someone off. That's just the way it is. This case had been handled poorly for a long time. And if you go and look at the search warrants, and matter of fact, almost all of it's public now, thanks to President Trump and the team getting it all out there. Look at the search warrants and how they were scoped. The case had issues for a really long time. So it obviously was a mess. And this is one of those level 10 decisions where I told you, you're not going to make everyone happy. There's a shitty answer and a shittier answer. And disagreements in D.C. about how to handle level 10 problems. I love how people in the media acted like this was like new, as if the Biden team had done anything to get this stuff out. They'd done shit. They had done nothing. Zero. Of course, there was going to be some disagreements on what do you do about grand jury material? What do you do about downloaded child pornography that was downloaded off the internet. He didn't create it, but what do you do about that? What do you do about all this? There was always going to be a disagreement. Of course, the media made this out to be like, remember that weekend? Like an intergalactic story.
You're right, Joaquin.
I'm sitting upstairs.
Joaquin
I was home that
lost
weekend,
all credibility. He's yelling and screaming at all of us who disagree with him.
I had a Morgan Wallen concert that night. It was on my schedule for months, you dipshits. But like, they left town. I didn't even wind up going to the concert because the media was making a big deal out of these disagreements.
The guy's lost his mind. He's crazy.
Please everyone. The person I thought at the time who nailed what the issues were with this was our good friend Mike Davis. I'll play the CNN clip next, but throw up Davis's tweet. There were a ton of problems with this. There was grand jury material. There was he put this out. Anyone who rapes kids deserves the death penalty. Amen. Here's the problem with the Epstein mess. The FBI doesn't have the evidence many thought it did. I want to see the files, folks. I said, don't let it go. I meant it. We got elected. We looked at it. The file was not, what was in there was not what we thought would be in there. There are not tapes with powerful men raping kids. There is not a list. Epstein's Rolodex was already public. The file's largely unreleasable for many reasons, including grand jury material, which they're moving to get a lot of that out. Court records under seal, child pornography that was downloaded from the internet. You can read the rest of it, protection of victims. We obviously don't want victims' names out there. Here's another one. Wait, keep that up for a second. Double or triple hearsay. You're seeing it now. You're seeing on Twitter, like, this guy said Joey Bag of Donuts, cut this woman with a razor, or this young girl while raping her. And you're like, wow, that's a really horrible story. It's terrible. And then you find out Joey Bag of Donuts was some famous athlete who was playing a game in Phoenix that night. Like, a lot of this stuff was just people called, not all of it. This is an extremely serious case.
Dan Bongino.
So let me be crystal clear. But that doesn't mean every single tip that came in, was
playing defense,
had any kind of veracity to it at all. A lot of the stuff was clearly debunked. He said, does anyone believe Bondi, Patel, or Bongino would cover up for Bill Clinton or Bill Gates? Didn't even make sense. I was all over this case on my show. The Trump DOJ wanted to be fully transparent, but it couldn't at the time for the reasons above. It's not going to satisfy many, and that's fine. But folks, I'm not going to spend the next 2 years talking about it. This administration got you the information. You can all look at it. And a lot of people are using it to divide us from the inside. Those are just the facts. That's just the way it goes. And by the way, the dividing people from the inside thing is not working. A lot of this is bullshit. A lot of it is foreign operations designed to make us divorce ourselves from the inside.
Carpe diem, exactly.
Current thing, everything. It is a deadly serious case. There is zero doubt about it. Everyone in the administration treated it as such.
This guy was talking about it the entire time on his show. Now all of a sudden, it's a completely different story.
Everyone from the start. But it was a level 10 problem. I can prove it to you. No one else had solved it in the past. Correct? Those are just the facts. Here was a poll, even by CNN. It was about a month ago or something, so it's not exactly recent. But it just speaks to how, even if this whole thing was unfolded, this will be the end of whatever. Here's a CNN poll about exactly this thing, division in the Republican Party, proving to you that it's not working. People understand that level 10 problems are never going to make everyone happy. Check this out.
Let me be very clear. There is no rift in the Republican Party. Yes, there are some folks like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie who are quite skeptical of this. They are very much in the minority. What are we talking about here? Well, why don't we just talk the GOP on the U.S. military ousting Maduro? Ipsos, 65% support, 6% opposed. How about the Washington Post poll? 74% support, just 10% opposed. If you look among 2024 Trump supporters, we're talking about 80% support. The vast, vast majority of Republicans are with Donald Trump on this issue. Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene are very much in the minority. Very few Republicans are with him.
You say they're with him on this issue. Do you even need those words, this issue?
No, I don't need the words, this issue, because the bottom line is this. Donald Trump has had an iron grip on that Republican base for a long period of time, and it is the same iron grip that he had 6 months ago. I know every so often people are trying to say, oh, I spot these little rifts in the Republican base. They're finally starting to break. They're starting to break from Donald Trump. It ain't happening, at least when it comes to the approval rating. Look at this. 84% 6 months ago, 85% now. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know 85% and 84% are basically the same number.
Level 10 problems, folks. Shitty answer and the shittier one. That's every single thing at the principal and deputy level. And this president has to deal with them every single day. Every day. He doesn't get to delegate everything. A lot of this stuff, the old buck stops here. The buck stops on that Resolute desk. They are tough decisions. And that's what happened. I know a lot of you. And by the way, to the people in the chat, I just want you to know a little message to you. Some of the supporters, we love you guys, the detractors. Welcome here too. But I just want you to know something. I own you guys. You can't stay away. I tweet, you instantly respond. I do a show, you can't stay away. Remember, Jim, no one's going to be there. Really? It's 194,000 no ones.
Yeah, because they were wondering how you're going to come out and defend yourself for being a scumbag.
It's the biggest live stream in the world right now. No one's going to be there. No one. Really. Then when people show up, it's just us there to rip you. Great. I own you guys. The great.
He sounds just like Joe Biden when he does the weird whisper thing and then he starts screaming. He's psycho. He's lost his mind.
Greatest superpower in the world. It's the power to command attention. And I own yours. You can't stay away. But to my supporters and people who love the show, thank you. It's an honor. I say with
now he's whispering, so you have to keep
it's
adjusting
really
the volume.
Friends. But watching the other clowns, keep it up. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, by the way, 10 a.m. See you there. I know you can't stay away.
What a fucking nut. He's fucking crazy.
All right, let me move on. I got President Trump coming up in 5 minutes. Last thing, quick, before we get to President Trump, so don't miss it. It'll be on 11:30. We're going to talk about violent crime. We're going to talk about the president's daily brief and all the threats he's dealing with, what it's like working from the inside. 1 second. I just want to cover, can we just cover the tweet? Because I want to, I don't want to, again, beat this one up a lot because I've discussed it on Hannity's show, on Fox and elsewhere. But the tweet, I promise I'd try to squeeze everything in on my first show as much as I can at least. This one generated this again is what.
Those of you in the chat, have you been looking at X and all the Epstein files, stuff that's coming out? Because obviously Dan Bongino is trying to play cover for all of this stuff. So I'm just curious how many people are out there actually looking at all these things. And now Dan Bongino, who was speaking out against the Epstein files and how unbelievably important they were, now all of a sudden it's not that big of a deal. And how much he's done at the FBI. Well, why aren't you at the FBI anymore? Why did you stop and go back to your show? And why aren't you talking about the specifics of the Epstein files that are coming out?
One of those things I don't regret, but I did not realize this was going to cause a thermonuclear explosion around the world when I sent it out. I sent out this tweet about being here and how I was basically shaken to the core about what I was reading and looking at. And we can't run a republic like this. What I was talking about, just to be clear,
this is
why
bullshit.
I don't want to go in this at length, because I've spoken on Hannity about it.
This is going to be bullshit that's coming out of his mouth.
Vince's show, not Haley's show. And Haley's coming up at noon, by the way. I was reading some Crossfire Hurricane documents in my office on a Friday night.
Sure.
I was the last one there. Not trying to be a hero. Look at me, I stayed late. Not saying that. I was the in-town guy that weekend. Paula wasn't in town, nothing to go home to. So I was sitting there reading through these Crossfire documents I had just gotten. I can't say what it was, but I could not believe what these scumbags did. I couldn't. I was floored. Even having written, 3 books on it? 4? I don't remember. I couldn't believe it. What they did to this president was, I used the term on Sean Hannity's Fox program, demonic. I mean it. Like, what?
So if it was Crossfire Hurricane, if that was the case, why wouldn't you be specific about it in your Twitter post? That would have cleared up everything, but he didn't do that.
You believe in the spirit realm or not? Not my business. I'm not your pastor or your faith healer.
This is so scripted,
like
and you could tell that he's
I'm just telling you
right now.
You can't
right
see what I
now,
saw and not believe that there's pure evil in the world. And I was really shaken by it. And I'm pretty sure it was a Saturday. I woke up still shaken by it. I couldn't believe it. What they had done to this guy to try to dismantle this place.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what that was about.
Sure,
speculation.
it was, Dan.
I put a little subtweet below it, linking to an article I thought.
This entire thing was all scripted and put together in order to play cover.
clear. But I'll get into kind of more of that as the week goes on. I'm going to discuss it in broader terms as we talk about what's going on now. But I want to get the president.
We are going to get all the answers we deserve. Okay. So then why did you leave? Why aren't you at the FBI anymore? If it shook you to the core, if it happened to be Crossfire Hurricane, where are the indictments? Why aren't people in jail? Why is the J6 committee not indicted? All of the people out there, why are you here doing your fucking show now? Why aren't you back at the FBI doing your job if it shook you to the core so much?
Trump on time. So it's our last sponsor of the day in our now 2-hour format. Rumble.com/Bongino. Please go and subscribe today. Click that follow button. If you want to sign up for Rumble Premium, we really appreciate it. Obviously, the show's live. There are ads in the show that I read live, but you don't have to get the programmatic ads. Rumble Premium, please sign up. Start your Rumble wallet. Rumble.com/Bongino. We will be here every day, 10 a.m. Again, sorry about the technical hiccups. I knew these people were going to attack us because they can't stay away. They can't. They're like, he doesn't matter. Let's attack him and keep him off the air. I guess I matter. That's I know. I see. Here you're going with that. Thank you, Justin. They're doing it already. Delete me. Listen, you've heard me talk about delete me in the past. I love what these guys do. Delete me makes it easy, quick, safe, easy to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are.
Yeah, how about all the, Kazan, welcome back, all of the Pizzagate stuff. Turns out that looks like that was true.
Are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Back to the show. For the first time on the new Dan Bongino show, the most transformative president in my lifetime, and frankly, probably any other lifetime
Can't
either.
wait for this bullshit.
President Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, Dan, and you too. I was very unhappy when you left the FBI, but I was very happy that you have your show, which does so good. So I'm okay with this. It's net neutral. I call it a net neutral.
Well, Mr. President, I want to thank you for the opportunity. The past year has been absolutely incredible. And given that, you're a results guy, obviously we were friends before, but working for you is a completely different experience. You are a results guy. You're a spreadsheets guy. How would you get to a net present value positive with what you're doing? And I'll never forget an Oval Office meeting we had in light of the D.C. crime numbers today. Hadn't had a homicide in a record amount of time in D.C. thanks to your leadership. We're sitting in the Oval Office, and I was talking to you about the homicide rate plunging, and it was only about 3 months into my term there. I said, Mr. President, what we're doing down in Memphis and elsewhere is working. And I'll never forget, I said, we're doing the broken windows, Rudy Giuliani-style policing. You looked at me and you said, hey, how do we take this nationwide? And you never, ever let go. You stayed on top of it with me and Cash. You were all over it. You're such a hands-on guy, and it was just so refreshing to work for someone who doesn't get into all the hype and all the nonsense, but cares about the numbers. It's probably your business background or what it is, but amazing job on that.
Well, we have the best crime numbers we've ever had. We have the lowest number of crimes in 125 years since they recorded. That's in 1900. You're to think of it, 125 years. That's despite a lot of bad people coming in through the border that shouldn't be here, and we're getting them out. You got a lot of them out yourself. We're doing much better than anybody would think, and yet we have our lowest. Think of it. A lot of criminals came into our country. We're getting them out, and we're getting them out fast. We have to fight liberal judges and fake governors, terrible governors and mayors, guys like, just take a look at Minnesota. Walsey's a disaster. But if you think about it, I was reading the Washington Post this weekend.
It doesn't sound like
and they had
it.
a big story on crime in D.C. is way down. Right. And the whole purpose of the story is why? We can't figure it out. What happened? Is it the police department? They stepped up their game. What is it? They talked about everything. And then toward the end, they had a little thing that, of course, Trump surged a lot of very tough military into it. And it was that surge that did it, I would say 97.2%. Okay, let's put it that way. But here I'm reading this story about how crime is down. They didn't even want us to do. They didn't even want us to go. And so Washington was a very, very dangerous city. Many murders, many really horrible crimes. They came from all over the place. It was horrible. You couldn't walk down the street. Now you can walk anywhere you want. But the story was, why is it so good? It's so good. They admit now that it's good, but they refuse to give us credit. We're the ones that totally did it. And we worked with the police, but without us, you'd have crime at record highs. You'd have crime that was out of control. And can you imagine? I had to read a story where they're looking for the answer as to why crime over the last 6-7 months, exactly the timing that we got in, but over the last, why that crime is way down. And they barely acknowledge us. They say, and also Trump did a surge of the military, very big, strong people that, Tren de Aragua doesn't like them very much. They'd walk in, they'd beat the crap out of them. And we brought those people, and you know better than anybody, you were there. We brought those people back to Venezuela, back to places where they came. Some were so dangerous that we put them in jail because we couldn't take a chance they could come back. But think of it, with all of that, I read this story, and the headline is something to the effect that crime in D.C. is way down. What's the reason? And everyone knows what the reason is. If it weren't for us, you'd have crime. You'd have stats that were worse than they were under Sleepy Joe Biden. So we do a great job. We don't get credit. And the only thing we can do is go on shows like yours. We have a big audience and talk about it because people get it.
Yeah. What about the Epstein files? They're not going to talk about them. They're going to talk about all these other things and skirt around everything. And the stuff that's coming out, I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think it's just a portion of the file so far, or do you think we have a long way to go? But these guys are just going to avoid talking about this
immediately. It's a terrible, terrible thing. The news is so corrupt and so fake. It's unbelievable.
Mr. President, I'm going to correct the record for the hack goon life loser media right now because I was there. I was there with you. I was there with Stephen Miller.
Right.
I was there with Tony Salisbury, your entire amazing crew over there with A.G. Bondi and Todd and everyone else. And of course, Cash. And I remember early on, Cash went to you about Operation Viper in Memphis, where at your direction, we surged assets into Memphis. We absolutely destroyed the crime rate there. We were locking up gang members, mutts, dirtbags, all of these people. And I was there. I remember you saying, well, where do we go next? And then where do we go next? And I personally spoke to just about every SAC, special agent in charge of the FBI and the big field offices. And Mr. President, I told him, I said, the boss watches. I said, I'm telling you right now, if there's a news story about a homicide in Kansas City or whatever it is, I said, I promise he's calling or Steve's calling or someone else. What are we doing? So anyone saying otherwise, that this wasn't at your direction, it was some like accidental statistical blip, is completely full of crap. I was there. I saw it. And that's a hill I'll absolutely die on.
So with Memphis, if you remember, we got calls. I got calls from everybody. The mayor wanted us. The governor wanted us. So much easier when they want you. You don't have to fight them like in Minnesota. But in Memphis, crime is down 75% after about 2.5 months. We're going to have it down to practically nothing. It was really dangerous, one of the most dangerous cities in the country. Then I got a call about New Orleans, and I got it from the governor of the state. Landry is a great governor. He said, we need help. We got a crime-ridden mess. People are getting killed every day. I sent our guys there. Crime is down 80% in 2.5 months, 80%. And he called me yesterday. He said, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I said, it's not amazing. Now, in Chicago, as you know, we put people there, and we brought it down, but we only have a really limited force because they fight us so hard that you can't really do the right thing. You just sort of do it easy. And yet we've taken crime down 25%. We have an incompetent governor. He eats too much. We have an incompetent governor. We have a mayor who's really a low IQ person. They don't want it. I'll tell you what, if I were a Democrat governor and I was in charge of Chicago, as an example, or mayor, I would be begging Donald Trump to come on. Maybe I'll take credit for what he does, like they do. Because every time we do something, they take credit. We win all the time. We have a case in San Francisco. They have a very liberal mayor, and he wants to do what we do. But I explained to him, and he's a nice guy. And I have a lot of friends, Silicon Valley stuff. I have a lot of friends up there. And they really want him to give him a chance. He's a good guy. He begged me not to do it. I said, look, this was 6 months ago. I said, look, give it a shot. But you can't do what we do because we take criminals out, bring them back to their country. You can't do that. You have to get rid. In Washington, we took over 2,000 people out and moved them back. And the other thing, 2% of the people create 90% of the crime. Think of that. So when you start moving these guys out, you have a huge impact on crime. You've got sick people. These are 2%. Think of that stat. So you don't have to arrest the entire population.
Right.
2% of the people create, and it makes sense, right? They create crimes every day over and over. Then you put them in jail. They come out. They do 5 crimes in one day. These are sick people. And they're bad people. And they'll never be good, by the way, for the liberals that want to make them, bring them into a wonderful person of society. They go, we can bring them back into society. No, because eventually they'll kill you. Eventually they will kill you. But 2% of the people create 90% of the crime. And we take those two, and we go after those 2%. Now, Minnesota, if they allowed us to do the job, it's a mess. There's something in the water up there, and I love the state. I won the state 3 times, but I got no credit for it. I won that state 3 times, but
who
it's a
cares?
rigged state. Really rigged badly with the Somalians and the theft. And I guess you studied it, but I hear it's over $19 billion, okay? Can you imagine? They have a country where they have no money, they have no nothing, and they come over here and they steal. They're able to steal more than $19 billion, and we're right on their ass.
Yeah, that was
We're
one
right
of the first
there.
cases
But
when
these,
I got in
These are people that don't work. Yeah. Dan, these are people that don't work. These are people that are just not an asset to our society, to put it mildly. And we got to get them out, most of them. And it's most of them.
I want to tell the audience.
92% don't work.
Yeah.
And they have an unbelievable system, corrupt system of welfare. You know, many of them drive Mercedes-Benzes. They had nothing when they came over. The good news is, you notice they don't see ships being stolen anymore from Somalia? Because we hit those guys with the same weapon that we take out the drug dealers from the ocean.
Now, keep in mind, this Somalian crime syndicate's been going on for probably at least a decade or more. Now, all of a sudden, they're figuring it out and doing something about it. They weren't doing anything about it earlier. Now it's a thing, and now we're going to brag about what we're doing.
We stop every time we hit a boat. We knocked out. We saved 25,000 lives. Each boat, and pretty accurate, each boat is responsible for the death of 25,000 Americans. Think of that, okay? And we knock them out like candy. We are knocking them out. We also do that with the pirates in Somalia. That's why you don't see ships being taken anymore, because they don't play games. So, they were stealing ships every day. Now it takes courage to steal ships. They don't do it. You understand. And you did a great job while at the FBI, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Well, it was under your leadership, and working with Cash was amazing. He was just an incredible leader over there.
Yep.
There was another thing I want the media to hear about, and the audience as well, that you did. I was there. I saw it. No one's going to BS me about it. You had a totally different approach to getting illegals out of the country. We use Title VIII a lot. Title VIII is an easy way to get people here illegally out of the country. You say, well, what's unique about that? Your approach with Steve Miller and A.G. Bondi and Todd was totally different. It was like, if we are locked up, say we went out and did a violent crime roundup with the FBI and our DHS and DEA partners, marshals, all you great folks out there, and we gave you 10 minutes to cooperate. I mean, being a bit hyperbolic, but you get the point. And your approach was, listen, either give us something valuable about someone up the criminal food chain, or get the hell out. We're not going to store you in our jails for 10 years, waste $100,000 a year on food and shelter and interviews and AUSAs, United States attorneys debriefing you. Either produce valuable information or get the hell out. When I first told the guys that at the FBI, they were a little shocked. Well, we can debrief them over and over. No, get them the hell out. And this was a revolutionary approach, and the results speak for themselves, the lowest crime rates in modern U.S. history.
Well, we want one thing in Minnesota. We can get out of there really fast. We want their prisoners. They've got jails with murderers, drug lords, rapists. They've got jails with the worst people. And they come out, Tren de Aragua, they come out, the worst gangs. We have the worst gangs. They have gangs that are so bad, they look at you and they knife you up. We had it in Washington. They're all gone, by the way. They're all gone. But all we want is they have a lot of prisoners. They call it sanctuary city, and sanctuary cities are a disaster. So I put out an order, anybody that does a sanctuary city not getting any money. Let's see what happens. They'll get wiped out by these liberal courts. But the people understand. Nobody could do the job that we've done. Nobody. There's nobody. They wouldn't, they'd just go through a system.
Right.
You have to be very tough. Look, I took over a border where 25 million people came into our country, many of them murderers, 11,888 murderers, drug dealers, drug addicts all over the place. They always said they're drug addicts. They're people with trouble, alcoholics. They took over the mental institutions of their country, and they said every single person in a mental institution over our border with Texas with their open border policies. So we have millions of people. Most of them are bad, to be honest with you, because they're not going to send their good people. They want their good people like we. We don't want to have our good people leave. They only send their bad people. And the best of their people are people that don't work. Those are the best ones. The people that came in, they don't work. And they don't want them either because they don't want to pay welfare. So they've sent all of their people, millions and millions of people. We have to get them out. And by the way, if Republicans don't get them out, you will never win another election as a Republican. If you don't get these people are all pitted, so they vote. And they make all this crap with the voting. Oh, well, you can vote. You can do whatever you want. It's crazy.
I don't think people even care about voting anymore. I mean, let me know what you think in the chat that they're talking about this stuff as if this matters compared to what's been released so far. I mean, it's nuts to me that they just ignore it as if it doesn't exist.
I mean, it's crazy how you can get these people to vote. And if we don't get them out, Republicans will never win another election. Think of it. I won in a landslide. I won every swing state. I won the popular vote by millions. I won everything. Midterms. I won a thing called counties. The counties I won, it's such a big vote. That's why the map was entirely red when you looked at it. It had two little purple lines and two blue lines on each side. But it was all red. And counties I won by 2,750. Think of this, to 550. 2,750 to 550. It's becoming a very good count because it's accurate. You know, it covers the whole country. It's like a landslide. But you're never going to have that again if you don't get these people out. These people were brought to our country to vote, and they vote illegally. And amazing that the Republicans aren't tougher on it. The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. And we have states that are so crooked, and they're counting votes. We have states that I won that show I didn't win. Now you're going to see something in Georgia where they were able to get with a court order the ballots. You're going to see some interesting things come out. But, like the 2020 election, I won that election by so much. Everybody does it. They put a woman in jail, Colorado, put a woman in jail, a wonderful woman, 72 years old, had cancer, because she was a voting inspector. She was in charge of a voting area, and she saw boxes of votes come in. So she went over to check it, and they put her in jail for voter manipulation, and she's still in jail. And they better let her out fast. And they're suffering a big price, Colorado. They have this woman in jail who's 71 years old and probably has cancer. She's sick. And they put her in because she challenged somebody that was dumping ballots into a box, okay? And they didn't put them in jail. This was during Biden's term. The worst president in history. And we had some bad ones. I mean, look, Barack Hussein Obama, I call him the Great Divider. Right. People couldn't stand him. You mentioned his name, they go crazy. They start booing the hell out of him. We had some really bad ones. I mean, Jimmy Carter wasn't exactly the greatest. Jimmy Carter didn't exactly have the hit on Venezuela that I had. Remember, his hits, they always turned out to be a disaster. Right. He went out, he had a hit. The helicopters were crashing into each other, the hostages and everything. That's why Ronald Reagan won the election. It was so pathetic. But we do it right. We've got the greatest military. I built the military. You know that in my first term. I built the military, even though they gave a piece of it away, but it's a lot, but it's still a piece compared to what I built. We have the most powerful military. And my attack on Iran with, Operation Midnight Hammer, where we wiped out their nuclear threat, which they would have had a nuclear weapon within a month, and we knocked it out. And our attack on Venezuela was, unbelievable. And the nice thing about Venezuela, we're getting along great now with the government. We talk to them every single day. We took 50 million barrels of oil. It's on its way right now to Houston to be refined. And we're going to help them a lot, and we're going to benefit by it also. It's going to be great. It's going to be an amazing place. It was a great country 15 years ago. Then it went socialist. And I would say it didn't do too well.
Yeah. Mr. President, I know you're busy, but last question, but you just kind of segued nicely into it. The Don Rowe doctrine, as they call it, your posture with we have to dominate this hemisphere. I've had, again, the honor of working for you for the last year, and I get to read the PDB, the President's Daily Brief. Now, I'm not the president, you are, but principals and deputies get roughly you get all the really, really, really good stuff, but we get most of the good stuff. And I can tell you, without obviously giving up anything classified or secret, that there are a lot of threats from space, from the ocean, from traditional air, ballistic missile threats, threats to the grid. You see this every day. The media doesn't. I find it kind of tragic that the media, a bunch of 18-year-old journalists with who barely got out of J school, who don't know a damn thing about anything, who've never read this at all, are busy criticizing you about this hemispheric dominance policy you showed in Venezuela. We're not going to let this happen. That was my last day at work, by the way.
And Argentina and Honduras and many other places.
Look at some of the results you've had. Even in Panama yesterday, there was a ruling against China and the ports. This is working, and this threat picture is so bad. You are absolutely spot on. It is not the 1960s anymore. We have to control this hemisphere from a national security perspective.
Yeah. So what he just mentioned right there is the new technate, and I'll go over that in more detail after this is done. But Dan Bongino's in on all this too with Elon Musk. So he just talked about having our hemisphere controlled, and this is something that started back in the 30s and 40s with Elon Musk's grandfather.
Well, that's right. And here's the main thing: we were laughed at a year and a half ago. We were laughed at as being stupid people. We were laughed at it not as not. We see a guy falling up the stairs going into an airplane. I got to be very careful going in. You ever notice how slowly I went? Nice and slow. I'm not looking to set any records. You don't want to go down. Could happen. I mean, it could happen. But it can't happen 3 times in one shot. Okay, the 3 times going up the stairs. I don't think you'll ever see anything like that, but it could happen. So I have to be a little bit open. I'd have to say could happen. But you ever watch me? I come down nice and slow. I'm not looking to set any records, okay? That was the one thing I have to tell you. It's probably the only thing I respected, and yet it didn't look elegant at all. He bopped down the stair.
Right.
He would be in the middle. I thought it looked so terrible. This is the president of the United States. He's bopping down, bop, 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 bop. And I kept waiting for him to fall, and he didn't. Yep. So I would rather have other traits than that. And I didn't even like the look of it. But I was impressed with his ability to go down the stairs like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it. Those stairs are very slippery. Yeah. And I always used to say, he's an accident waiting to happen. And to the best of my knowledge, it didn't happen, so I give him credit. But it happened many folds with Biden. Oh, yeah. What a president. Yeah. We're respected. The bottom line, Dan, we are respected again like never before. And they saw what happened in Iran with, when we took out that nuclear with those beautiful B-2 bombers. We just ordered 25 more of them. Even the newer, upgraded version, you're going to see. Rice and bananas. They're invisible. But we just stopped that.
Love the comments.
What we did with it. And don't forget, I got Soleimani. I got al-Baghdadi in my first term. 2 of the worst ever. The worst ever. The biggest and the worst. One was the founder of ISIS. He was rebuilding it. I took him out. And the other one was the father of the roadside bomb and the leader of, let me tell you, if he lived, he was a leader, the military leader of Iran. If he lived, that attack that we made on Iran would not have been the same thing. He was a great general, and they don't have that now. Yeah. So we did a great job. We're respected all over the world. I spoke with China. He goes, very impressive, very impressive.
Lucian,
I spoke to Putin.
True.
He goes, wow, that was something. And that's what we want. We have to be respected.
Mr. President, again, it was a tremendous honor. I cannot thank you enough to be able to do the job I did under your leadership. The way you just let us cook, Mr. President. You said, go get them, boys. You told me in cash, go get them, lock these guys
up.
And
get them.
I tell everyone in the media that. I said, if you work for him and you're in the room with him, he demands results. There's none of this friendly. You want a friend? Get a freaking dog. Produce results or get the hell out of there. And I really appreciate the opportunity to do what we did. What an honor. And thank you so much for joining us on our first show. It was great to see you at the wedding yesterday for the great Dan Scavino, by the way. Hilarious speech. You're the best MC. Every time you get the mic, everybody was cracking up. That was great. So really good job.
We had a little fun. That was an easy one. But listen, you did great in the FBI.
Thank you,
and I'm very torn, as I said. I think maybe I'd rather have you where you are because there's, very few people can do what you do. Very few people can do what you do. And your voice is a very important one, so I'm very happy with that also. So thank you for your service. Thank you for a great job.
Yeah, his voice is important to carry the water for the Trump administration, like he's doing right now, among all the things that so far everybody voted for and are not getting.
And I'll be around when you need me.
Thank you, sir. Great to talk to you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
very
Dan.
much.
Bye.
There you go, folks. The 47th and 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. I can't say it enough. What an honor to have worked for such a transformative figure.
For like 5 minutes.
Whew. Man, I'm getting a little choked up after that interview. I'm the worst. I'm like such a, really, man card. Someone sent me that. Remember that man card they sent us, Ski? That was like an actual man. There you go, Lorna.
Can you hear it?
No idea what it was like to work for this guy.
He's getting choked
I didn't.
up.
I knew him as a friend. I did not know what he was like as a boss. Amazing. And all that bullshit you see in the media, you throw it right in the freaking
What
garbage.
bullshit?
And by the way, all the attacks you had, all my, bullshit detractors, whatever, you don't know shit about anything, throwing popcorn from the front row. It's the number one live stream in the world, like the globe, like the round thing, the rock we live on. By a long shot, 226,000 people showed up. That's with a DDoS attack, by the way. A DDoS attack that was really well organized.
See what, and he knows this, I would think, or maybe he's too dumb to understand why 200,000+ people tuned in to listen to this, because they wanted to see what kind of bullshit he was going to come up with. It's obvious you didn't stay at the FBI for very long. So why did you leave the FBI so soon? That's the biggest. If you want to ask any sort of question about that, and then you're like, oh, I really wanted to be back home with my wife and everything. Dude, you work for the FBI, you're a multimillionaire, you got a private jet, you can go back home every weekend.
To try to shut us down.
His own private
down.
jet, by the way.
We were down. I'm not embarrassed to tell you because I'm such a target that they came after the whole damn website, and someone just sent me some information from Rumble. The quote, they've never seen anything like it. That's how bad they want to keep.
No, that has nothing to do. I can tell you right now, Rumble is not a good service. Rumble sucks. And there was 200,000+ people that wanted to hear what he had to say, and they crashed the fucking site. It has nothing to do with a DDoS attack. That didn't happen. It just happened because everybody wanted to hear what gaslighting bullshit he was going to come up with.
Keep me off the air. But I have my first, guys, you ready for this? Get ready for the screenshot. Jim, you know where I'm going with this? My first double barrel to those who tried to stop us, because the Podfather's back. And we're taking the movement back. It's not my movement, but I helped build it. I've been here a long time, since the Tea Party days, as a candidate and elsewhere. I'm not going to let a bunch of shitheads and doomers and everyone else sit here and collapse this movement like cannibals.
So he calls all of the people that are negative right now, who were Trump supporters, who thought that something was going to happen, the black pillars and losers and all that stuff. And it's like, no, you lied. You said you were going to do all these things. You said in your own tweets how horrible it was, the things that you saw. And then you leave, and then you tell everybody that's critical of Trump, who were supporters but are now critical, they're the bad guy, they're the enemy.
Also need it from the inside. No chance.
And now he's going to whisper and yell, whisper
Now
and
you can see
yell.
it. I'm sure the media people write a story. A guy in the comments said Dan sucks. Yeah, he was one of 226,000 people in the comments. You may want to put that in there. Just a thought. I know you've already written your stories, but we always win.
No, you don't.
Always.
You're not. You're not.
You don't bullshit people. I said I
You're
was
going to lose the
address
midterms
everything.
because of this.
I did. You like the answer? Great. You don't? It's not going to be 10 years of over-explaining stuff. It's the biggest weakness. People have this need to be understood, peer into their souls and everything. I don't. Measure me on the decisions I made. And we're good. 226,000 on Rumble. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Again, a big thanks to the staff.
So Dan Bongino is saying, "Oh my!" He's trying to make it seem as if that all of these people here are supporters, and probably way more than half are people who just want to hear what he has to say because they don't trust him, they don't trust the current administration, they don't trust what they're being told, and they want to find out why you left the FBI. Why are you not there anymore? So he's making it seem as if it's some sort of positive thing that all these people are here, and that somebody went and tried to take his Rumble down that he was a co-founder of and making millions of dollars on. And that's not what it is. People want to find out why did you leave and why are you a liar?
Yeah, we got producer Jim, Teresa, she's not the staff, she's my wife, but she also does do a lot of work. Paula managing the whole thing, the Queen Bee. Jasmine, Guy, Justin, Josh, who's new to the team. I didn't mention Josh before. I'm really sorry. We love you, Josh. Good to have you here. Josh is new to the team. You're going to be hearing a lot about him. I warned him, did I not, Josh, in the job interview? If you're not comfortable being part of the show, do not sign on the dotted line, bro. Because as Jim saw in the beginning when his phone went off, everything's fair game for this show. You're in the thing, your phone goes off, that's part of the show. Jim knows. So Josh, Josh was like, I'm game. Yes, he is game. Justin, show everybody your shirt too. This was great for the first day. Justin wanted to represent, and I think this is the perfect shirt. There we go, buddy. Amen, brother. The Freedom shirt for those of you listening on audio podcasts on Apple, iHeart,
this is
SoundCloud,
embarrassing.
Spotify. The Freedom shirt. God bless him. Charlie was the bridge. I began the show with it, and yeah. Man, I love that picture. Look at that hair, man. For a guy with terrible hair like me, so much so I got to shave it. Thank you for everything you did. I also want to thank today my tremendous audience again. You guys are just incredible. You've been with me through thick and thin, and thank you for understanding that these things take time. Folks, what Cash is working on over there right now, just let him cook, man. After this 4 years are done, if you don't like it, fine. That's okay. That's what accountability and transparency are. Air your grievances. Make it a Festivus show. Let's get the poll out, feats of strength, and let's air our grievances. But it takes time. It took decades to destroy the place. It's not going to be rebuilt overnight. It's an uncomfortable answer, but it's the true one. I lived it. I'm not asking you to trust anyone. Just let him work. The president knows exactly what he's doing. He picked these people for a reason. But I also want to thank my two daughters, the lovely Isabel, my oldest, who's watching right now. She sent me a text, watching with a big heart. Love you, girl. You're the best. War Eagle. And then to my youngest daughter, Amelia. She is just so special. When, I don't know if you guys believe in God or not. I'm not here as your preacher, but I certainly do. I'm a sinner like everyone else. I'm not trying to be some kind of moral compass for anyone. I just want to be clear. But, when I watch my daughter at a volleyball game hit a wicked serve, Amelia, and she looks over me with that daddy approval. Any girl dads out there?
I guess he's in calm mode now, so he's gonna whisper now on everything until he starts losing his shit and yells into the microphone.
Nothing like that. So I love you both. And I also want to thank a few folks. I only got a couple minutes left. Haley show coming up at noon, new time, rumble.com/Haley. The great Vince Colonnese, who we love, 8 a.m. now, rumble.com/Vince. Please support these two amazing patriots. They're part of our show lineup. We love them. But before I go, I just want to thank a couple more people too. And I promise over the course of the next.
All right, I'm done listening to him. But Nick, as a constitutionalist, we don't have any representation from the administration or half the GOP. There's some that stand on their principle, but not enough. We were all fucked. And you're correct. And see, these are the comments that are the important comments. They're the good comments. They're the ones that make sense. Instead of treating this like a football game and taking one side or one team or the other team like most people do, and you could see obviously in the comment section that it's either Trump or not Trump, or they treat it just like it's some sort of sports ball. Nick makes it a very important point, and a lot of others of you, too many to count because we have a lot of people in here that are right, is that it's not about a team. It's about the fact on whether or not the current administration has our back or doesn't have our back, and they don't. And the other administration, of course, didn't have our back. So it's special interests. It has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. And nobody in our government, period, forget about just Trump, It's not about Trump. It's about all the representatives that everybody has elected. Whether or not you are on our side or not, and you can tell here by what's going on with the files. And I can't even say the name. I have to say files, because then if I do that, your channel gets banned or something ends up happening. That's how pathetic it is. So Nick, very good point. All right, I am going to call it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. We had quite a few people in here, and it looks like that 88% believe that the files are real. They are not a hoax. And those of you that are here, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We do go live at 2 p.m. Eastern time, so be sure that you do at least subscribe. Also encourage you to become a member. It's only 99 cents, and then you will. Thanks, SC. I appreciate it. And when we go live again, you'll be notified. And then the 99-cent membership, when we'll do live streams just for members only. And then you guys can also give us topics to talk about as well. So I appreciate you being here, and we will end the stream for now and see you later.